Namo Amida Butsu. Shadows by Gansen John Welch. We are like skeletons and shadows without substance, or any enduring presence or essence, ephemeral as the continually changing clouds in the sky. But when we inevitably come to die, and we are filled with terror and despair, what do we really care about these fine phrases, words, and ideas, when all we wish for is to be forever free from all fears of dying, death, oblivion, or future suffering and pain? Only then do we realize the futility of fame, power, or gain, and the value of the priceless, precious Buddha Dharma, taught by all the genuine teachers of Amida Dharma, and Amida's inconceivable primal vow. So let us decide, without delay now, to commit ourselves to ignoring all false preachers and finding a good teacher of the way of other power, abandoning all useless practices of self-power and overcoming our egoic arrogance, as well as folly, stupidity, and deep, dark ignorance. Entrust our karmic destiny entirely, utterly and completely to Amida's inconceivable wisdom and compassion, the only way to overcome our evil passions, and think and say the Nambutsu each and every day. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you, Amida Buddha. Homage to Amida Buddha. I take refuge in Amida Buddha. The above verses were inspired by the following important article by Reverend Josho Adrian Cirlea, published on his website on the 22nd of September 2017. The link is provided in the PDF below. On White Ashes. White Ashes is a meditation upon impermanence and death, and when I read it, I link it to the final words of Shakyamuni before entering Parinirvana. All things are transient. Strive consciously. In this letter, all is reduced to awareness, to be or not to be aware of your own death, of your own impermanence. I think usually people are not aware of the fact that their life is always going to the inevitability of death. When a person does not become aware from the depth of his heart of the impermanence of life and the changing nature of everything around him, he is not yet capable of making use of religion in order to find a real meaning in his life. He will give all his attention to the outer world and search for his fulfillment there. I remember that in early Buddhism, one of the most practiced meditation methods was meditation on death. The disciple stayed in a graveyard and meditated on a dead corpse, seeing its state of decay and realizing that the same thing will happen to his body too. Thus he became more and more capable of awakening himself to the reality of death, detaching from his body and abandoning the life centered on the ego. To meditate on impermanence and death is, in my opinion, the most authentic action. It is to stop lying to ourselves. Until we become aware of our own death and impermanence, we are just dreaming, making plans and thinking that we have all the time in the world for doing everything, thinking that death is only an idea or poetry. People of modern times do not give themselves much time to meditate on the real nature of life. They behave like they can live forever. I remember a comparison made by an Indian sage who said that ignorant people are the same with dogs when they look to a dead person. This is because when you see a dog that looks to another dead dog, you can notice that he somehow looks at the corpse but does not realize what has happened. The dog just inspects the corpse and walks around it, not without the slightest thought that the same death will sometime occur to him too. In the same way, people look to a dead person like to something that may happen only to someone else, something like bad luck. They understand death only at the level of information, but not actually feel death as something inevitable. When a person begins to feel and be aware of the reality of death and the impermanence of all things, he suddenly stops. It is the stop that can give his life a real meaning. The awareness of death, sickness, and old age was also the thing that made Siddhartha leave his royal palace in search of enlightenment. Speaking about myself, the words that often come to my mind from the teaching of the Buddha are urges based on the awareness of impermanence. I repeat them almost unintentionally. I have no time. Life and death are most important. Or, follow the way like this would be the last day of your life. The law of impermanence is what makes me a Buddhist. A turning point in my life was the death of 3 persons, a friend, followed in succession by his father in a few months, and my grandmother. In my personal history, this was the period I left the way based on the self-power and took refuge in the primal vow of Amida. It is very hard for me to describe in words what I felt then. It is a strange and unbearable sensation to feel your hands and all the body as fragile as a match. Sometimes the thought of my own death scares me. I seldom read in peace this letter of Rennyo. There are shocking and heavy words in it, which can be set at ease only by the last sentence in which Rennyo speaks about entrusting to Amida Buddha and saying the Nembutsu. So we should all quickly take to heart the matter of the greatest importance of the afterlife, entrust ourselves deeply to Amida Buddha, and recite the Nembutsu. In this last sentence is our hope. Without this last sentence, the whole letter would be a producer of depressions for ignorant people like us, full of blind passions. Rennyo does not say, as in the Heart Sutra, there is no death, there is no pain, there is no beginning, and no cessation of pain. But there is death, there is pain, rely on Amida Buddha. In the face of the shock which death and impermanence brings to any ordinary person, Rennyo does not speak about subtle things, because he does not talk with Buddhas or saints. This is what I like most in Jodo Shinshu. The emphasis is not on what we can become. We are all Buddhas in our real nature, and we must awake ourselves to this absolute truth, but on what we are here and now. That is, ignorant beings who cannot overcome throughout their own powers the problem of life and death. To these kind of beings, Amida Buddha says, all is okay, just rely on me. This is exactly what I needed to hear. The primal vow of Amida contains the words that I desperately search for in all Buddhism. I do not know how others are, but I don't think that a wise sentence of a Zen master can make me overcome this problem. For me, the fact that I already have Buddha nature does not keep me warm at all. It does not change anything. It does not help me with anything. It just remains a beautiful sentence. I cannot overcome the perspective of my own death through detachment based on self-power. I meet many people who are very much impressed by subtle phrases which are far beyond the ordinary level of understanding. Maybe this is the reason why Zen has so much success in Europe and the USA through the koans, which I doubt many people practice them in their true spirit. But for me, the only reality is this. If I die tomorrow, what will happen to me? My virtues are shallow, so my next birth is uncertain if I do not rely on Amida. This is the only reality to me. I am the man in front of the 2 rivers of water and fire. I am surrounded from all parts by all kinds of dangers. I am scared and outrun by everything that is happening to me. Amida is calling me. How can I not answer his call? Namo Amida Butsu. An important footnote. A koan is a word or phrase of nonsensical language which cannot be solved by the intellect. It is used as an exercise to break through the limitations of conventional thought and to develop intuition, giving the practitioner the chance to reach an awareness beyond duality. They are used as meditation objects in Rinzai Zen. However, very often these koans are treated by many as mere intellectual, interesting games, losing in this way their original function. Fascicle 5, Letter 16, on White Ashes by Master Rennyo. When we deeply consider the transiency of this world, we realize that what is altogether fleeting is our own lifespan. It is like an illusion from beginning to end, and so we have not yet heard of anyone living 10,000 years. A lifetime passes quickly. Can anyone now live to be 100? Will I die first, or will my neighbor? Will it be today or tomorrow? We do not know. Those we leave behind and those who go before us are more numerous than the dewdrops that rest briefly beneath the trees and on their leaf tips. Hence, we may have radiant faces in the morning, but in the evening we are no more than white ashes. With the coming of the wind of impermanence, both eyes are instantly closed, and when a single breath is forever stilled, the radiant face is drained of life, and its vibrant glow is lost. Although family and relatives may gather and grieve broken-heartedly, this is to no avail. As there is nothing else to be done, the once familiar form is taken to an outlying field, and when it has vanished with the midnight smoke, nothing is left but white ashes. This is indeed indescribably sad. And so, because the impermanence of this world creates a condition of uncertainty for young and old alike, we should all immediately take to heart the most important matter, the afterlife, and deeply entrusting ourselves to Amida Buddha, say the Nembutsu, respectfully. Namo Amida Butsu.